On this episode of DC on Screen, we got tons of news, from Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom box office projections to Superman Legacy castings, who is and isn't officially confirmed. We will get to that. The Penguin, Suicide Squad, Isekai, the Sandman, Peacemaker, Zack Snyder's recent statements about what would actually bring him back to DC, as well as word from Mark Hamill on whether or not he'll ever play the Joker again. All of that and more after these words from our mystery sponsors. Welcome into DC on Screen, the podcast bringing you news and reviews from the DC multiverse on film and television. I am your host, David C. Robertson. My trusty sidekick Jason is away in Orlando living it up at Disney. So with me today, dear friend and patron to the show, Effie Oppelders.
Good morning. I am not your host, but I'm here, so you'll have to make do with it.
You are my co-host for this week. Yes, you are.
Yeah, okay, I'll take that. It's an honor once again.
Absolutely.
Happy to be back.
Happy to have you. Thank you.
And I just heard there's a ton of news, so I'm in for a good one.
By the way, thank you for filling in for that layabout.
Yeah,
Jason Goss.
Yeah. How dare he have fun in Florida, I guess.
Dare he take his daughter to Disneyland. Disney World.
How old is that daughter? Will she even remember Disney World land, whatever?
I would say
Is it for her? Let's be real.
I would
say... Is it for her?
It's definitely not for him.
No, that's fair. That's fair. You got me there.
Yeah, I'm tempted to say she'll remember, but, I don't remember things like that and never really have.
I mean, at some point I'll be making these same jokes in a couple years and forget that she's like 10 by then.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to aim for this window I still have now that I can more or less make it work, having absolutely forgotten how long it's been. Because I just remember it like the day it was yesterday. Oh, and you guys said he was a dad, and then I congratulated him, and that's the memory I have. I don't know when it happened.
Yeah, if I'm going to a place like Disney World, which I've never been, because it's just always seemed like it was torment. It's a lot of people. Now, when I go someplace like that, what I mean is like a county fair. It's got like 15 rides.
Same class of park. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a class or not. Everything's overpriced. It's hot, and I'm dying. I hurt everywhere. It's the same thing.
Yeah. I'd say in your case, just get one of those wheelchairs at the entrance before you set foot in the park, because, God, your back will not survive.
I mean, God, I'm tempted to get one of those wheelchairs when I go to Walmart. Just to get groceries. I'm just like, oh, that seat looks so good.
Just let me sit down.
I'm walking and leaning on the cart.
We have the luxury of standing up sometimes, but still.
Yeah. Before we get into it, I do want to thank the patrons. $1 a month gets you every episode ad-free. $5 gets you that, plus any bonus material we may feel inclined to produce, like random Marvel reviews, Comic Castaways, endless conversation with Scott McClellan. Who knows? Patreon.com/DC on Screen. If you'd like to throw us a few bones and help support the show, it is the best way to do so.
I've heard, yeah.
Yeah.
Works out for me, so.
Yeah. Thank you, Effie.
You're very welcome. There has been a new Marvel movie, so there's something to review.
There is, but I am not caught up at all on Marvel.
No, I know.
And you know why? Because I'm so busy keeping up with DC.
There's just so much news.
I won't mention Star Trek here.
No. That's a side project at best, of course.
Yeah. It's totally not a show that you and I both do together.
No. Let alone like on the regular and, taking up time that could be going to watching Marvel movies. But let's be honest. Why would we?
They've gotten a bit boring. Let's be honest.
Yeah, the past couple, like, I could probably just We could have a catch-up session after this recording and just bonus material. I catch you up on every bad Marvel movie from the past couple years that you haven't seen. And you can just wait for the good ones to start again.
No, you know what? I don't want spoilers. Like,
if I'm
gonna have to watch it, I at least want to be surprised with how bland it is. But
yeah.
But I'm really.
And I mean, we still differ in opinion on things like Love and Thunder. I think 'cause sometimes I'm like, oh, this is atrocious. This is worse than bland, and you're like, at least it's not bland. It's pretty funny in places, and I'm like, which places?
Yeah, I mean,
so you could be pleasantly surprised.
That movie did have parts that I enjoyed quite a bit, and the ending made me cry like a sad bastard. So, and then made me cry with like made my heart full because I was like, they called them Love and Thunder. You know, it was. I'm like, I couldn't emotionally handle having a kid, and that scene is proof.
That's evident. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. No, I mean, I cried at the Bale thing, but then they got into the Thor being a dad scene, and I was like, nope, I'm done again.
Yeah.
It's a darn shame.
All right.
I can't keep the tears flowing.
Yeah. So, by the way, I am tremendously sick, and I'm getting better, but you will probably hear me cough because I'm not going to cut it out.
Fair. Also, you're telling me this now? Like, dude, are you contagious? What if I get sick?
Then you need to look around the Netherlands and figure out who got you sick.
That's a good point. I mean, I don't leave my room that often, so I'll probably be fine.
You damn shut-in.
Says you. Oh, no, you go to Walmart. It's fine.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. I go to the local Ollie's, see if I could find a good $4 comic book. Or graphic novel, I should say.
Of course. How dare we call it comics? That would be weird.
How terribly jejune.
I'm glad you immediately explained what an Ollie's was, because I was definitely blanking.
Oh, yeah, no, it's just like a discount place. It's like, hey, we've got overstock. Here's a
useful
annotated volume of Sandman priced at like $100. Here, $12.99.
Get the fuck out. I need a place like that. Why don't we have that shit?
I don't know.
I mean, we have thrift stores, but I never find comics there. Just, books I don't want to read.
Yeah. They have a crazy amount of like $150, dollar priced giant omnibuses of old Silver Age comics, and they'll be like $30, $20.
Delightful.
Yeah. It's a godsend. It's a balm in this age.
Yeah, it's truly why we stay alive.
Yeah, I bought a really big box of Fifth Avenue bars, like chocolate bars, Mm-hmm. And normally if you got them at the store, a single bar would be like $2. I got 18 of them for $4. That's
a better deal. I take that.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah. Me and my wife were very excited.
I can only imagine that night at the Robertson Villa. It was truly a feast for all. Honey, I'm home, and guess what I've brought you?
No, this was like I saw it at the store, and I called her, and I was like, "Girl,
better,
girl, they've got 18 Fifth Avenue bars." For $4.
Amazing.
Let's get into this news here.
We do have some news. Yeah. We're wasting time. How dare we?
Oh well, it's my show.
People are on the edge of their seat already, just waiting for us to get to the news.
Yeah, I know. So look, Warner Brothers. I don't want to like just move past it. I want to acknowledge that Warner Brothers has, through various venues, put out different new trailers for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. They're all kind of slightly re-edited versions of the international trailer.
Fair enough.
I don't care to talk about it, so I'm not gonna, but they're out there if you want to watch the same clips over and over again in different sequences.
Yeah, that makes sense. I haven't seen probably most of them. So I'll be fine. I know what I'm getting into. Later this month, I'll just go see the movie. I'm fine.
Yep. And for the 3 people who live in China who listen to this show, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom comes out on December 20th.
God damn. That's so soon.
I know. Well, sooner than we're getting it here in the U.S. I don't know about the Netherlands.
I haven't double checked. Like, usually it's a day sooner than the U.S. because I tend to get like Wednesday midnight, Thursday premieres, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it's usually a bit sooner than the official release date, but it's not usually a week sooner or anything.
Is this?
I'd be amazed if that's the case.
Is this a movie you're going to go
China,
see?
they're probably trying. Yeah, I think I have a voucher left for a movie ticket in the cinema that actually shows it, because I had a subscription to this. I still do, actually, till the end of the year, to more of an art house movie theater, and they don't tend to have the blockbuster DC shit.
Yeah.
So I always have to then, in addition to the subscription that lets me just have unlimited movie tickets, go to another theater and pay. But I'm pretty sure I still have points at that place to just coupon my way through as a screening somewhere, a matinee at whatever weird hour on a weekday. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But I'm there. Yeah.
So, but not opening weekend.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, okay.
Not just probably as soon as I can get there, because I hate getting spoiled by the internet. Like, the Flash even was a mess to just, like, so many things and cameos leaked. I was just like, I don't want to know Chris Reeves is in it before I get there. Mm-hmm. I can see the hot takes afterwards.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I mean, I have to admit, I don't really care, but because I do this show and I care about this show, I will probably go opening weekend.
I mean, I agree. It's not an excited opening weekend. It's a habitual opening weekend for me.
It's an obligatory.
It's more like, it's the last sigh of the DCEU, and I kind of want to see it slowly fade out into eternal darkness.
I want to be there to make sure it's mostly dead.
Yeah, exactly. God damn it. The Hamadaverse has not treated me well. I am just not that excited for it, but I'm willing to see if James Wan has, made a slightly more interesting ending than the previous film. But still, the first Aquaman was fine. It just didn't hit for me in the way that it seemed to do with general audiences, which tends to be the case for us both, I think. Whenever general audiences are over the moon, it's like, ooh, this might be a bit too generic for our tastes.
Yeah, if I see Rotten Tomatoes like putting something up that's like 23%, I'm like, oh shit, this is gonna be a banger. I'm gonna dig this one.
It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna do something.
This is gonna have layers that no one will be able to understand.
Exactly. Or it'll just be really poorly conceived. Either way.
Yeah. Of course, Rotten Tomatoes is right sometimes. I rewatched a movie that I loved when I was a kid. When I was like 14, I loved this movie, Trojan War, with Jennifer Love Hewitt and Will Friedle. And my wife had never seen it, so we sat down and we watched it. That was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. I don't know how I ever liked this movie, because generally, like, a lot of my favorite movies come from when I was like 13 or 14, like Office Space, Big Lebowski, Pulp Fiction. Like, I fell in love with all that shit.
That's the prime age to get into the classic shit where you're like, oh, this is like when I was around that age. That's definitely when I started watching Big Lebowski and Fight Club and Pulp Fiction and like all of Tarantino. Once you've seen one, and then it's when you get going. But sometimes nostalgia really, really fucking blindsides you. Yeah.
I think I just realized, one, I liked Will Friedle because he was the older brother, the funny brother on Boy Meets World. And
that helps.
I had a huge crush on Jennifer Love Hewitt, and apparently that was all I needed.
That's all you need sometimes, is just a beautiful woman on screen.
Of course.
It's a sad reality, but we're that easy.
I was like, there should have been some clue, like, in my mind, because, like, I never did buy it on DVD or anything. And I've bought all those other ones like that. I just multiple times.
I need to have that.
Like
it's taking you a couple decades for a reason.
I had them on VHS. I had them on DVD. I now have them on Blu-ray or 4K.
Of course.
And now I'm like, huh? I never even bothered to like rent Trojan War again, much less ever buy it for my own personal rewatching.
Yeah. Just for my, for context, is this about Troy or about condoms? Because I have no. Okay, yeah, no, I figured that was roughly what I was guessing this would be.
The whole movie is Will Friedle running around town in search of a condom, and something keeps happening to stop him from purchasing or buying or whatever, or borrowing a condom.
I mean, and that's a simple, like, kind of cliche, but like a fun premise that could work if it's funny. If you execute that idea poorly, yeah, it's going to be pretty shit. But
I mean, there are like chuckle moments, but it's a pretty bad movie.
Dang it!
That was sad.
No, see, this is the kind of thing where I'm like, I could do this better. I instantly want to take the core concept and just write a better screenplay.
Yeah,
that's my curse, I guess.
No, I do
now,
that
if
too.
only I ever finished it, like actually did it, like that would help. But we'll see.
Yeah, it was more like a Trojan quest. There was no war involved.
yeah, it's just a sad thing that there's no Trojan quest cliche to reference. Like it's a dang it.
Yeah. All right, so
we'll just have to rename it in our version. Something Magnum. We'll figure something out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna happen.
We'll make a Magnum PI reference instead of a Trojan War. You know, that's too high lit for this type of idea.
Right.
We'll workshop it after.
Sure. No, I'm open to it, I guess. Whatever. What else am I doing?
We'll figure something out. Yeah, exactly.
Aquaman
just
and the
bunch of podcasts, actually.
Yeah, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, the box office was projected for up to $60 million opening weekend. And 60 is at the high end of the scale. It could be about 50 million on the low end.
That's not a broad range. I mean, it's a pretty broad range in terms of millions of dollars, but I've heard worse guesses, I guess.
I think they're going so broad because, like, the previous... the last few movies, they were like, "Oh, it's going to do this," and then it like fell like 10 million short of what they thought it was going to be.
We need a fucking range here.
But this is a 4-day Christmas holiday window.
That's true. That's gonna stretch the opening weekend in quotation marks. Yeah.
Now, but to compare, because I've already seen people being like, "Oh, that's shit," compared to the first Aquaman. The first Aquaman had an opening weekend box office of 67.8 million, and it ultimately
huge.
No, but it ultimately earned $1.152 billion at the box office.
Exactly.
It won't.
The thing was, it had legs. Yeah, no, it probably won't. Like, what else is coming out this Christmas season? Like, what is it competing with a couple weeks in? The last one just had the luxury of a really long run.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't think there's much because I keep seeing headlines about movie theater owners being worried that Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is going to be like the majority of their money for the holiday season. So,
oh no. They're like, oh, we know this isn't going to sell like the first one did. Shit. Okay, well, that's good on them, I guess, for expressing their fears ahead of having to convince people to come actually see it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I keep seeing people like outlets and whatnot describing this the death of the Snyderverse, and it's just not.
Fuck
it's
you.
Just
no.
Not.
No, it has nothing to do with that anymore. It's just the cast
Snyderverse
that they
had
kept on for some reason.
Throat slit somewhere in 2017 while they were letting Joss Whedon run amok on Justice League.
And like after Zack's version of Justice League, there's just not a shred left of anything in that same universe. Because you could just see the path split off into very different directions. Yeah. And be like, oh, this might be able to match up with both, but also, let's be real, no one's head is getting cut off in this universe.
Yeah. That's like giving Richard Donner credit for Superman 4. And you're just like,
yeah, that's kind of mean, really. Oh wait, everyone is mean to Snyder.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
I figured it out. It's taken me a couple years, but I think I've cracked it.
It's just so weird. I don't understand everyone's hatred of Zack Snyder. Not for real. I don't.
I think the man is just too nice, and they can't actually find a problem with him. So you gotta just be mad at him being a teenage boy at heart, and sometimes doing shit that he thinks is cool, and loving Excalibur, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just, it's very easy to, cut someone down to size when you're just being a dick about it.
Yeah,
he just hopefully doesn't care that much.
Doesn't seem to.
No, I guess not. He's doing fine.
Yeah, as far as I can tell.
Oh, that is something to compete with. Like Rebel Moon is pretty close. It's not coming out in theaters, but people will people can stay home. That's just as bad for the movie theaters.
I do think it's doing some kind of select
Probably
releases.
Limited. Yeah. Just not over here, so I don't give a shit.
Okay.
Fucking US only. Yeah, no. I wish those things would happen here, but usually it's like, no, we'll have one in LA and one on the other coast. And
when it comes out on Netflix, will you be watching the PG-13 Rebel Moon?
I'm sorry, there's a PG-13 cut and an R cut?
They are going to release a PG-13 cut initially, and then they're going to release a full-blown R-rated Zack Snyder's cut of Rebel Moon.
That is so meta to just be like, no, it's Zack Snyder. He needs a director's cut later.
Yeah.
Is it gonna launch at the same time, or do you actually have to wait for it?
I don't know.
Like, if they put both up at the same time, I'm watching the Zack version, of course.
Right,
I'm watching the R-rated shit.
If the Zack version comes, because they're both Zack versions. Like, he's still happy with the theatrical.
Yeah, he's not gonna. Yeah.
But he said Netflix was actually really excited about the idea of doing like a separate cut that was just like everything he wanted to throw in.
Of course. I mean, if there's a time difference, I'll watch both probably. I'll probably watch both regardless, because it's sort of reliving the BVS days of like, oh my god, there's more, we're gonna see more. And that also hypes the excitement for having an extended cut and more stuff in it. And then the differences, and you can actually recommend people like, no, don't bother. It misses this one gory detail you want to see. Like, I don't know. It feels nostalgic. I love the meta aspect. That is great. I'd miss that. I am very happy they're doing that. Also for the 13-year-olds that'll get fucked otherwise, but like, they need this in their lives.
So because I've decided to just start doing this show as close as I can to what's coming out chronologically, just slowly trying to transition this show into what will be James Gunn's DC Studios, where TV and animation, all that shit's pretty well same
connected.
Yeah. So this is not connected as far as I can tell to anything, but Suicide Squad Isekai. You saw the trailer?
You sent it to me. I had completely missed it. It looks pretty much like an anime. Isekai, I don't know what it's a reference to, because it seems like an established world of some kind. It feels like a crossover thing.
It's not. Isekai is a genre that has emerged.
Sure.
Isekai is a genre. Isekai means another world. And another world is a genre that has emerged in anime recently over the last few years. Not just anime, manga, and whatnot. But where it usually features a character or characters going to another world on a quest to do X, Y, or Z. And, it's become very popular, apparently. I had to look all this up.
Of course.
This is from Wit Studio, and they're the production house responsible for Rankings of Kings, Spy X Family, and the first 3 seasons of Attack on Titan. So apparently people are very excited about this, and
I can imagine.
You can look at the trailer and see it's got Harley Quinn, Deadshot, King Shark, Clayface, Peacemaker, Amanda Waller. I will post the, if you look down in the show notes, the YouTube link to go check it out will be there. So
give it a look. It looks weird and fun and like very anime, but it looks pretty as hell. Like it is very well made. It just has to be kind of your genre.
Yeah.
And good to have learned something about, well, the Japanese equivalent of multiverse stories. They're popular now. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Different worlds. Good shit.
But here it's like more of like a fantasy world. It looks like
it's a very different type of other world. So that's why I guess like is this something I should know or? But no, if it's just random floaty world, we'll see.
Yeah, it's just a genre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm interested to see what they came up with. Like Attack on Titan has a good reputation, so I'm curious. But then again, I mean, I didn't finish Batman Ninja, I think, so...
Well, Batman Ninja was kind of awful.
Yeah, no one liked it, I remember. It was a weird experiment instead of, let's actually let the Japanese people take over and do their thing because they know
I think
what
they
want to
did.
do. I mean, to an extent, but they just sort of leaned a weird direction. I don't know.
I feel like you just defined anime.
I mean, I did, didn't I? No, what I mean to say is I think that one was trying to do something very like, oh, let's make it more so Japanese in the sense that we want the cultural heritage to sort of be the blend we're toying with. And this feels more like, let's just grab the DC shit and put it in the context of an anime.
I think the kind of thing I would rather see is...
That one felt like pandering in a sense of like, oh, we're doing this
a little bit,
one-off Japanese thing. And now it's like, oh no, we're just handing the keys to anime writers and letting them do anime things. Not that the other one wasn't, but it kind of felt more corporate.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I kind of feel like what I want to see out of like a Batman anime or a DC anime or anything like that is like take the essence of the characters.
Yeah.
Show me that with that culture. Like instead of, don't take them out of Gotham and throw them into feudal Japan. Like have it be like, here's feudal Japan and, here's a guy who becomes Batman. And there's a guy who is the Joker, and there's whatever.
If you're gonna do it, I would like to see it like make it Neo Tokyo instead of Gotham, whatever you want to do,
right?
But build something that is more Elseworlds in a weird way instead of just slapping it together and making them the same exact characters supposedly, but you don't recognize shit on either side.
Yeah,
It was a decision at some point. Someone made it.
Let's do Baby Kal-El lands in Okinawa instead of Kansas. Let's see how that works.
The Red Sun, but like further east. It could be. Yeah. I don't know. It could be interesting. I had an idea like that recently, but okay, we'll get on with it. It was an interesting trailer. It looked cool. I'm always happy to see Harley.
It did. And
it was very much like just seeing Peacekeeper there was like, okay, this is post-gun. We get it.
Yeah.
It's more the Suicide Squad than in tone and in characterization of King Shark and stuff like that. Like I recognize some stuff. It's not as extreme, but it's there.
Well, the thing about Peacemaker is Gunn basically just like took that design straight out of the old comics. So I mean,
no,
that's
I just mean purely the. No, I know. I mean, purely the inclusion of that character.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't have been there if Gunn hadn't included him.
Probably
That's just like, oh, this is the team you would build having had that film come out.
King Shark, though, is pretty standardly in the Suicide Squad.
No. I mean, no, in terms of Peacekeeper, that's just being there. In terms of King Shark, it was just the slight goofiness of the om nom nom and laying down. And like there was something in there where I'm like, oh, I can see this going a similar route.
Yeah.
It's not the hammerhead shark being just vicious. There is a sort of silliness in there.
I mean, I have to say my favorite King Shark is Ron Funches from the Harley Quinn animated series.
Oh yeah, but that's just a high bar to clear. I get that. That's a different kind of silly. That is just that show is delightful.
Yeah, there's a bar for real.
Yeah.
The Penguin, Colin Farrell's Penguin show, restarted the week after Thanksgiving, so they're in production now. Fun stuff.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving.
Sandman Season 2 has resumed production at Netflix.
Yes, I saw Neil's tweets and whatever else he posted.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Cool. I'm very excited.
So am I. Oh, we're there.
Crisis.
Day one.
Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths. They released a trailer for the animated trilogy coming soon in 2024, beginning in 2024. They released this trailer. What did you think of this?
It's a tease. Like it's cool. I recognize the aspect that I would expect in a Crisis on Infinite Earths. It is the style I really like from the Tomorrowverse. I'll see. I'll wait and see because I don't know exactly like how we're gonna get there. I'm excited that it's a trilogy for the first time. They'll probably slap it together and sell it as a really long movie again, just to give you two discs. But
10 minutes more footage.
Exactly. I'm excited. I figured this was coming purely based on the ending of the last thing they put out, which I'm suddenly forgetting because it was a very haphazard ending. I felt that one was a weird installment because it was very, we don't know where we are for like 3 stories and then suddenly the twist that they're needed for a crisis event. And I was like, God, this they could have had a better lead in. Just, whew.
It feels like they're getting to this a little quickly.
Yeah. I thought they'd be building up to it more. Like I get that they want to do it, like they really want to do it, but boy, am I sad because the last one just wasn't up to snuff. No. I really like the DC AMU or whatever it's called. I really like the Tomorrowverse continuation, but I would have expected this indeed in a couple more films.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's a bunch of characters in this trailer that you don't really know much about yet.
Mm-hmm. I saw this trailer and I was excited for a lot of the imagery, very Crisis on Infinite Earths imagery. Yeah. Oh, look at that. But at the same time, like I had this thing in my brain where I'm like, I don't like these character designs and I'm not crazy about the Tomorrowverse animation. So
Okay.
Yeah, it looks stiff to me.
A bit, I get that. I do like just the thicker outline, the thinner inside lines. I enjoy that aesthetic. It really depends on how it moves, because some scenes are definitely better than others, and sometimes it is a little stiff. But it is a stylistic choice at least, and that makes it less just bland to me. And I other than liking it on a personal level, I think it will be more accessible in a way, because I know I've definitely been standing in a bookstore, opened Crisis on Infinite Earths, and been like, this art style is not what modern comics look like, and I'm not sure I'll get through it. So that is, for me, it'll be a nice deeper dive than I've had before, because I know vaguely what happens in Crisis on Infinite Earths, but I haven't actually read the entire run. Because, it's hard to get through. Maybe even if they recolored it, I'd be happier.
Yeah, I think...
Because it just has that aesthetic of like, I'm reading a 70s thing at best. I don't know when it actually came out. I forgot.
Late 80s, like 86.
Late 80s, sure.
Something like that.
I insulted it. Yay. Go me on a DC podcast. Anyway.
No, I mean, it is
Fans will be happy.
Look, the artwork is great. At the same time, it is very dated. It is very much of a certain time. I think the comic book version of Crisis is more held down by the obscurity of the characters they bring in.
That also helps. Yeah, I get that.
As far as this movie is concerned, though, I mean, I'll watch it, and I was actually kind of hoping that, and we don't have confirmation they're not going to do this, but it is the multiverse. Like, it would be cool if we saw, like, even if they are still animated like Tomorrowverse, iterations from like the previous connected universe they did in animation, or the Timverse, and et cetera, so forth.
That would be interesting if they did that. I am curious to see, because I'm guessing they'll keep it in the same style. We did see 2 Supermen, like that's pretty that's a given. But like which one the other one is, that's a harder one. And of course with the DCAMU, it's difficult because they kind of blew that universe up and reset the timeline. So I'm not sure if they still exist out there to then bring back. But I love that iteration. Like I love that run.
Yeah.
We still I still need to rewatch all of them at some point.
I need to catch up on several of them.
I know. We'll make it a Patreon thing. Don't worry.
God.
I'll fucking force you. Just, hey, we've recorded 2 Star Trek episodes. You want to go for another ride?
All right, let's talk about Superman Legacy here. We've got several things. It was widely reported that Nicholas Hoult was in talks to play Lex Luthor. This was reported on... this was reported on November 20th. Some outlets, like Screen Rant, said,
of course,
DC Studios has officially found their Lex Luthor. Do you know?
That's just a fucking gamble.
Do you know what words mean? And like a paragraph down there, like, Nicholas Hoult is currently in talks. I'm like, well, then he's not officially Lex Luthor.
He's not shit. Yeah. We don't know. Like, it's a good guess to have been the first supposedly to confirm it, even if you don't have sources, but that's just based on knowing that usually when these things come out, there's a delay, and like the talks might have already broken down or might have already concluded in a positive way a week ago. You don't know that because sources.
Importantly, though.
But if you're not going to vet shit, then don't put something out that isn't actually true.
Yep. Importantly, James Gunn, man, when they announced the engineer, he was right on top of it and was like, yes, welcome to Superman Legacy. She's in the movie.
This is the handle. Go follow her. Yeah.
And they mentioned Nicholas Hoult he's playing Lex Luthor. Crickets from James Gunn.
Dead silence. Yeah.
Nothing. And then a couple days later, they announced Skyler Gisondo and Sara Sampaio as Jimmy Olsen and Eve Teschmacher, respectively. Yep. And James Gunn was like, that day, was like, yo, thank you. Here they are.
These people,
they're coming.
They're great. I love them. Yeah.
That tells me Nicholas Hoult is not Lex Luthor yet. It is not official.
Nope.
As if I didn't have
it could
all
still
of the
happen,
articles.
Maybe, but we don't know.
Yeah, it's not there yet.
People just want to get to the Lex thing, and we're clearly still in the let's announce the engineer and Eve Teschmacher era of announcement. Like, we're not to the bigger cast members outside of Superman and Lois.
Yeah, and look,
and that makes sense. That's how you build hype.
There's been so much bullshit scoop stuff, like Hollywood Insider Jeff Snyder said that Michael Rooker, he's going to be General Sam Lane, the father of Lois Lane. And someone asked James Gunn if it was true, and he just said, it is not.
No, of course
sorry,
not.
Insider Snyder.
Yeah, my goodness. That's just a who could Rooker play given that Gunn would like to hire him for something. That's not a given necessarily. Yeah. It might happen at some point down the road, but we don't even know if that would be this movie. He might have a place for him in a really different part of the franchise.
Mm-hmm. So James Gunn released this picture, and it was like a collage of artwork from Tim Sale's Superman for All Seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And we've known for quite some time Superman for All Seasons is an inspiration for Superman Legacy, as is All-Star Superman from Grant Morrison.
Yeah.
And
I put those on my iPad immediately.
Yep.
And
they're
still
great.
need to read the rest of them because I haven't finished it.
Oh, they're great. They're great. So there's a scooper, Viewer Anon.
Mm-hmm.
They attract a ton of attention on social media. For their scoops.
Of course.
They said the movie's villain would be Brainiac, who would feed Kryptonian technology to terrorists in the Middle East, leading Amanda Waller and other government officials to believe Superman was a threat. And
that just sounds like the opening scene. My goodness. What? I would hope not.
No.
But also, it seems like a really weird plan for Brainiac. And also, the guess that it's Brainiac as the main villain is literally what everyone is expecting and hoping for. It's not an original thought.
No. So someone on the Superman for All Seasons post asked James Gunn, please tell us the terrorist threat in the Middle East storyline rumor isn't true. And Gunn said, it isn't true. So, debunked.
Discredited. Wonderful.
Gone
Good
away
job.
now.
Yeah. It sounded pretty shit.
Yeah.
In that version. Like, come on. How does that make sense? And how will it not end up being problematic as shit? Like,
no.
I don't even want to conceive of it.
Yeah. You have to completely pretend that everything outside of the United States does not exist.
Yep. Pretty much.
I mean...
And like, if you're going to do a storyline like that, if you're going to, like, hand alien tech to terrorists, it's Intergang. They're right there. Bunch of white guys in America. It happens. Like,
I would pay real
fine.
money if I never heard of Intergang again.
I get that. It's not they're the C tier thing you put in the recent animated show that I am suddenly forgetting the name of. Jesus, the Superman thing. What was it?
Oh, My Adventures with Superman?
Right. Thank you. Yeah, that one. Yeah. That's where you put that type of thing as an early appetizer for, he's new in his career. If he's been doing it a couple years, you need a bigger threat. It's a live-action movie. Why waste your time with Intergang?
Look, why waste your time with Intergang? I'll tell you why. Because of freaking Mannheim. Carmine Mannheim, I think his name is. He's the dude who was in charge. He ran Intergang and had ties to Apocalypse. He was leading up to a big Apocalypse invasion. In several different stories.
Yeah.
Intergang was using Apocalyptian technology.
Right.
That was
more interesting than Kryptonian tech instantly.
Far more interesting than anything they did with Intergang and Black Adam. If they're going to do, but that's my problem. Is like every time they do Intergang, here lately, it's like they're a high tech gang.
That's it.
What's the tech? High tech. Yeah. Like so, not apocalyptic.
Cool shit. They can fly and it looks like lasery shit.
Yeah.
All right. No. Okay. That sounds more interesting. Also, I had completely forgotten Intergang was in Black Adam. That tells you how much that movie lingers in my mind.
Exactly. So when asked about numerous people have asked, what's the new Superman suit going to look like? James Gunn said that we won't get a glimpse of the Superman suit until after Superman Legacy is filming. Not after it has been filmed, but while it's being filmed.
Of course. Once production starts, probably right before we get an outside shoot, like usual.
Yeah.
Just be patient, guys. He also could have answered red and blue, and you would have known just the same amount.
Yep.
He was actually generous, telling you a time frame that you should have really guessed to begin with.
There's been a recent rumor that the show Waller has been canceled.
Oh.
A few people have asked Gunn about that. He said, it's bullshit. Waller is still being written by Crystal and Jeremy.
That makes sense.
He's recently told a fan that he is currently writing Peacemaker Season 2. He said, I'm heading upstairs to continue writing the series right now.
Good on him.
They've asked, when will we get a Batman casting announcement? Gunn says, we don't even have a script yet.
Yeah, exactly. So, we barely have a director. Like, why would we be casting for a story we don't have?
They might not have a director. He's not prioritizing it. I don't believe
that's
happening.
Also true.
I don't believe
we'll see.
I don't believe Muschietti's going to direct Brave and the Bold. I don't believe it.
I haven't kept up with it. I just heard it was announced, and we'll see. I'll believe it when I hear it again. But like it's a couple years away anyway. Like we're actually working on the first movie. Why would we jump ahead to like 3 movies down the road? It's gonna take a couple years.
Yeah, I can't remember if we talked about it on this show, or just
if so, I've forgotten it,
or if it was just me and Jason talking about it in our real life. But
that happens.
there was like an announcement that like, Muschietti like is prioritizing another project before they worry about Brave and the Bold. So it's going to be a few years, and to me it was just like if. The bell cannot be unrung. I was like,
yeah.
I saw how poorly the Flash did.
Yeah.
And then that statement, I'm like, oh yeah, he's not directing Brave and the Bold.
No, he's trying to keep his career alive. Yeah.
Yeah, he's done. He's not doing Brave and the Bold. I'll bet you anything.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
And by anything,
I can see that.
I have a couple of buttons floating around here.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, no, I'll take a button. It'll be not much of a consolation, but sure.
They're 3 holders.
Ooh. Fancy.
So on to WBT. It was hot. James Gunn said, I get asked about rumors of various actors being cast in various roles every day. Just a blanket rule to keep in mind while assessing whether these rumors have any truth to them. 99% of the time, they're false. We are never going to cast roles without scripts.
Yeah, go figure.
Boom. There it is. So, moving on down the line, Hollywood Reporter talked to Zack Snyder. Talking about Rebel Moon.
Of course.
And
his press rounds.
Yeah, of course. And so a few interesting things. One, he did confirm what everyone called James Gunn a liar about. They did have a conversation. He did tell him, whatever you want to do, go ahead and do it, and I hope it works. And, he did say, James is a great guy, all this stuff. Of course, other Snyder fans are like, no, Zack is lying here. James was lying, and Zack Snyder's just such a classy guy. He backed him up. Come on, y'all.
Get the fuck out. They're buddies. They've known each other for years. Of course they fucking talked.
How comes Razor, man?
Just don't overcomplicate the conspiracy. It's Jesus. They're just a couple of people doing their jobs, and one of them got fucked and the other one got promoted,
Yeah. I mean, at this point, you guys are putting so much tin foil on your heads, you might as well be bots. Speaking of that.
Well played.
Yeah. Speaking of that, they asked Snyder, about the... the accusations, the reports that it looked like 13% of the Snyder Cut people were bots. And Zack said, the truth is, it doesn't matter. The movie got made. If they were smart enough to employ bots in this thing, then they won. That movie has no business existing, and it does.
Yeah. That is absolutely true. And also, let's be real, only 13%? Like, do we remember what the internet was like when we were all just spamming the shit out of everyone with release the Snyder Cut?
Yeah.
Because, like, even just 85%, 87, that's a lot of fucking people still.
It is.
Who, like, those tweets were still, there were so many.
Yeah.
I contributed myself. Like, there were a lot of fucking people. It was a good time to be alive, especially because we won. But still,
yeah, we won and we lost because we're not gonna get a follow up.
No, probably not. We won the battle, lost the war. That's kind of where it went.
Yeah,
but there was no chance of winning the war anyway. So really, we'll take what we can get.
Yep. And Zack Snyder did say, and this does seem to confirm that he's never going back to proper Snyderverse. He said what would bring him back would be a true representation of the graphic novel The Dark Knight Returns. He did not mention... Now, I mean, fairly recently, he did say if they, gave him a blank check and said, do your Snyderverse continuation, finish it up.
Yeah.
He said he'd be very tempted, and he would probably do that. But, right now he's talking about, a true representation of The Dark Knight Returns. And honestly, it sounds like he's really busy and happy over at Netflix doing his Rebel Moon shit.
Of course. He's doing his thing. And we'll see if it ever happens. But yeah, an Elseworlds one-off Snyder DKR,
Yeah.
like that's not bad shit. Like,
No.
I'm there.
Yeah,
I'm there
I'd
from
watch
day
it.
one.
I'm there,
Like,
dick out.
It's just unlikely for the foreseeable future because it is quite close to a lot of things he implemented into the BVS, but that's because he loves that book.
Yeah.
And most people do. It's just very, very fucking influential. I'm rereading it at the moment because I still haven't read DK3 and I don't know if it's any good, but I'll get there. Because I don't remember what happens in Strikes Again, so I figured I might as well reread all of it.
Was DK3 Master Race, or was that the next one? It is the Master Race?
Yeah.
That's
with
solid.
Azzarello. Yeah, I've heard. I figured, because they, gave Miller a babysitter.
Yeah.
And a good one. So, yeah.
He's still solid as hell when he wants to be.
Oh, of course. But he's also had some misses, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It happens. Like, I remember enjoying Strikes Again for what it was, just knowing it wouldn't be DKR, because, duh.
Yeah. 4 is the golden child, right?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, 4 is the golden child. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I've read the Master Race and I haven't read Golden Child. Anyways, I've put all of them on there. I'll finish them.
Oh, fair enough.
As long as I know what I'm reading, it's fine.
Yeah. It's one of those where, like, Dark Knight Returns is so seminal, is so important. I've read it so many times. I know exactly what that is. DK2 was so bad and so disappointing. And I've warmed up to it over the years with remembering that, 9/11 happened in the middle of him making it. And, like, a lot of it is, like, his reaction to that. And so, like, there's,
That's also good to know. Didn't know that in advance.
It's also, it just makes it more interesting in a lot of ways.
Sure.
But then it starts getting real fuzzy for me. And I'm like, what happened in Golden Child? Wait, what was it? Like, but
they're just not as old yet. Like, you haven't had the decades with them to reread them, so you'll figure it out.
Right. All right. So in a recent interview with The Hollywood Reporter, the Netflix head of film Scott Stuber addressed the possibility of continuing the Snyderverse, and he said that's always tricky because you don't own it.
Yeah. Licensing is a complicated fucking thing.
He said there's a chance that Snyder's DC movies could be licensed over to Netflix. He says, obviously, we would like to license it at some point. We'd love to have it on so that fans can experience more Zack. The more Zack we have, the better we are.
Aww.
But that doesn't mean a continuation. Like, that doesn't mean they're going to pay him to make more DC movies.
It just means the licensing deal we've already discussed, right? Like, they already have the DC shit now, so even the bad ones.
Yeah. Well, they don't have Zack Snyder's Justice League. They don't have the Ultimate Edition of BVS.
Right. I forgot about that. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So finally, I hope we can find something to talk about outside of this, because it's kind of a sad thing.
Oh, no.
During an appearance at Fan Expo San Francisco, Mark Hamill told fans that his version of Joker will have to live on in their memories. He said, without Batman, crime has no punchline.
Oh, the motherfucker had worked on that line to use it once he'd be asked. Yeah. I saw this show up, and it's sad. Do we have an in memoriam for Hamill, even though he isn't dead yet? Like, do we?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's sad, but I get that he wouldn't want to do it without Conroy anymore. Like, they've done it for 20 years or some shit. Like,
longer than that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can't count. I forget when he died. It's recently, but
it was very recently.
Maths.
Yeah. And they had off and on come back and done it together.
Yeah.
they did, in 92, they started with Batman the Animated
92?
Series.
Oh, right. Jesus.
92 through...
Somehow I always keep thinking BTAS is slightly older, a little younger, basically, slightly later in time. But it is 92. Christ, yeah. I forgot about that.
It is. So
that's a long time.
I can't remember.
It's almost 30 years. Jesus.
Yeah. From there through the end of Justice League Unlimited, and then they came back for the Arkham games together.
Yeah.
And then they...
Which they finally came out on Nintendo Switch, which I'm very happy with because I've owned them on Steam, but also I haven't really played them on Steam because it turns out I didn't like PC gaming, and then I bought a Mac.
Yeah,
so
that happens too.
Give me a controller, I'll be fine.
Yeah, well, you can get like a controller that just plugs into your PC, and it feels. I know, but at that time I got rid of the PC that could really handle it well, and it's a long story. I'm just very happy to have it on a console for once. I understand.
And a trilogy for the price of a regular game, so I'm good with that.
Yeah. Do you remember where Hamill's that quote came from? Without Batman, crime has no punchline.
I'm blanking. How dare you ask me trivia?
I'm just curious. It's a well-worn Hamill Joker quote from an episode called "The Man Who Killed Batman."
Oh, that one, right?
Where Joker is just like, there's a rumor that this dude killed Batman, and he's like staging a bank robbery, and he's like just beside himself, and he's like, this time he's really not coming, and he tells the thugs to put all the shit back, and they're like, what are you talking about? And he's like, put it back. Without Batman, crime has no punchline. Yeah,
there's nothing funny to be done.
Yeah,
it's a very appropriate reference, and
and
that's all I meant to say is he thought of what he was gonna say when he would be asked eventually. So it's a good way to go out. What is his last one, by the way? Because I remember Conroy's was eventually DC Online, I guess, the last thing he appeared in. But what is the last thing Hamill has done?
Well, I know he said he retired. He was retiring the character, I think, after Arkham City. But I think he did come back for Arkham Knight, possibly.
Yeah, but wasn't Joker dead in that game?
Yes,
maybe in a flashback or some shit.
No. In Arkham Knight, Joker was a part of Batman's brain. Like some sort of part of the psychosis or something.
Yeah, because of the Venom bullshit. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, I'll have to look at, I'm trying to find it. I want to say his last one was Killing Joke. Because
really nothing since then? Because I do remember them, reuniting, and that's why we were excited, and then we saw the script was kind of, shit. But
that's just the first few minutes of it.
Just the first half hour of it.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't really even part of the Killing Joke anyway.
No, it wasn't. But why?
Some bullshit.
If they were going to add some bullshit to it, write something better.
I know,
damn it.
Right? I was fine with most of it. It was just the part where Batman and Batgirl started having sex, and it was weird.
Exactly. It's the setup that's just really fucking weird. Whereas, all of the Killing Joke stuff works, but why would you, have a prologue that's just yeah.
So
just sets it up weirdly.
It looks like Hamill's final Joker bit was from Justice League Action.
Oh, of course. That was fun.
That show that ran from 2016 to 2018.
Was it that long? Jesus. I just thought that was one season of 50 episodes or some shit. One for every week of the year, and that was it. I don't think they ever continued, right? Maybe it was just a long production line.
Yep, no. Before that, it was...
I remember binging it. It was a fun, Christmas vacation type over the break. I think I watched all of it. And, they were short. They were fun.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Batman Arkham VR is the next thing.
Oh, right. I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah. And then before that was Batman the Killing Joke.
Right. So, yeah.
There you go.
I mean, yeah. He's done a lot for the character.
Oh, God. He is the character.
Yeah, pretty much.
In so many ways.
Sometimes I forget he's also Luke Skywalker, but that's, another.
Yeah. I will remember.
I legitimately think I heard his name first in the DC context before I ever got into anything Star Wars. But
me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah, I was
it's
just
the way it's supposed to go.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was like a thing where I was just like, I was obsessed with Batman the Animated Series in 92, 93, 94. Like, I was just like all about it.
Yeah.
And
you can really keep adding those years, just 95, 96, up until this year. Sure, go ahead.
It was somewhere in that time frame, though. It was somewhere in that time frame from between 92 and 94 where, like, I'd memorized everyone who was an integral part of the show.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I mentioned something about Mark Hamill being, like, the best version of the Joker. And my aunt, who grew up with Star Wars, was just like... She was like, what? And I was like, the Joker is Mark Hamill on Batman the Animated Series. And she was like, no, it's not. I was like, what do you mean? Look it
up on the non-existent internet.
Yeah, I was like,
go to the library.
Well, no, luckily I had like an issue of this Superman Batman magazine they used to put out.
Ah, clever.
And they would do like articles about, at the time, like, Superman and Lois, Dean Cain, Terry Hatcher.
Yeah.
But they would also like do a lot of interviews and conversations and stuff about Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this guy, Mark Hamill. And she was like, he's in Star Wars. He's doing the Joker on a cartoon now?
Yeah, because, he was in Star Wars, meaning after that, his career sort of disappeared.
Yeah. And I was like, what? Star Wars is over.
Yeah. Like, the man needs to work.
I was like, he's an actor. He does other things.
Yeah, and like being cast in a really prominent role always tends to work against you and if you're not already a big name.
Yeah. And I had no idea. I didn't know anything about Star Wars.
No, exactly. Like he basically at that time had the same options Daniel Radcliffe and Pattinson had, like, just do weird tiny movies if you want to keep this going. Mm-hmm. And apparently voice acting, because the man is good at it.
He's very good at it.
Yeah,
very, very
insane.
But I think like one of the things he did before Batman the Animated Series, well, I mean, he had done a few things, but the most Joker-esque thing he had done was be the 1990 Flash show where he played the Trickster.
Right, yes. Oh, I've seen clips of that. Yeah, delightful.
Yeah. And he very much sounds like the Joker in some places.
Of course. That was an audition tape, man. Oh.
Yeah. And I love that he continued playing the Trickster on the CW Flash show.
Yeah, he came back for that. That was so fun.
Yeah. I thought what they did with that was pretty brilliant. Like, when they first brought him in and they showed basically behind the scenes footage and stills of him as the Trickster on that old show, but he wasn't taken in by the Flash because there wasn't a Flash then in this universe.
Clever. Yeah.
But then to have him come back as his current age Trickster, and then even have his hench lady or whatever her name was. I can't remember what was her name.
I honestly wouldn't know.
Prank.
Of course.
Yeah, to have her come back too, and it was just a mighty chef's kiss.
Glory days. I get that.
Anywho, that's all the news I have. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I don't think I have any news. Like, this isn't a podcast about my life. Ugh.
It can be.
Yeah, if I get cast in Superman Legacy, I guess, but...
Yeah, that's right.
It's the only way I'll make it onto this new segment.
Oh. Well, I mean, look, me and Jason and I, we talk about our lives on this show, so...
That's fair, that's fair.
Hosts get carte blanche, so... As a host,
that is true. That is true. I can go anywhere.
About your show. You can go anywhere. You can do anything. Read a book.
I really should, because clearly my imagination is very limited if I'm now like, shit, what could I talk about? What squirrels are left to chase? There's a universe out there and I cannot find a squirrel? Really, that's just, it's sad.
Sorry, I got roped into the Reading Rainbow theme a little bit.
Take
a look, it's in a book, Reading Rainbow.
Fair enough. That's where your brain can go sometimes. It's not a thing I'm familiar with necessarily, but
it was a beautiful
I've heard
show.
of the term, but I hadn't seen the I haven't heard the theme song, I guess. I've heard Reading Rainbow, but that's about all I know.
Yeah. That show was fantastic. And yeah, LeVar Burton. Beautiful man.
Oh, I do know him because that makes sense, because he had the master class related to where he did have the big book. So that was a reference clearly to something, but I didn't realize those two were connected. That makes sense. Yeah. I've learned something today. Oh wait, if you liked us talking together, there's another podcast that actually always has both of us, unless it's an episode that I'm not on, but that's not interesting. That's for modern Star Trek. But yeah, go listen to the Star Trek Universe podcast. That is where you'll find more of me on the internets and on Instagram, I guess. But you can find me through you'll promote the show. It'll be fine. They'll find me.
I've lost all control of this show.
Oh, I'm well aware. You made me co-host. It is your fault. You set this up from the beginning.
Yeah, that's true. All right, we're going to go. Thank you, Effie, for being on the show.
This sounds very genuine at this point. How dare you?
Hey, you know what? Effie? It is absolutely genuine. I love you. I love you being here.
Likewise.
And I'm very thankful that you're filling in for that ne'er-do-well Goss.
He'll be back someday.
He will. He'll scratch his ass, and somewhere in that mind of his, he'll be like, oh, I have a DC podcast with Dave.
Hopefully he'll remember by then. Yes, that would be lovely.
Yeah. And it's not
I enjoy filling in, but I also enjoy listening to the show without having been on the show. So it's kind of a bind I'm in here.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm not dissing on Jason. His scratching his ass doesn't mean that it triggers something in his brain because his ass is so close to his brain or something like that.
No, it's just itchy.
He'll feel like a little rising or something, and he'll be like, "Oh, Dave."
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like the ass will remind him of me.
Yeah, that's how it goes. That's whenever I text you, you can pretty much assume that's what just happened.
Right.
And that's what made me think of you. Yeah.
Yeah. I have always assumed that when you text me, you are actively picking your ass.
Me while typing. That is. Yeah. I mean.
Well, you've got two hands.
One-handed. Yeah. Exactly. Like but I tend to be a right-hand scratcher and a right-hand typist. So.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, I mean.
I'm sorry to break this illusion you've built up in your mind. It's
rub some alcohol on your phone, buddy. That's all I gotta say.
That is also very fair. I'll find some disinfectant. Yeah. And with that visual,
if you want to send us some feedback, I don't know why the hell you would. DCOnscreen@gmail.com. You can listen to every episode. DCOnscreen.com. You can listen to the episodes, at least the last 100 or so, over at Patreon, ad-free, if you want to be a patron. And I don't know. We'll be back. It's taking a couple weeks to work up enough news to squeeze to squeeze the blood from the stone.
Mm-hmm.
But
we'll eventually get going again. It's tis not the season for much news, apparently.
Right. I mean, this is a tough season for DC news husbandry. Just trying to steadily pump the cum out of the horse cock.
As you do, yeah. No, it's a difficult job, really, and I'm most grateful that you keep doing it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
That's such a nice sentiment after I say squeeze the cum out of the horse cock.
Yeah. I just felt I needed to, give you some honest appreciation for all that squeezing of horse cum you do.
I don't squeeze the horse cum. I squeeze the horse cock, and the cum.
Well, yeah, but you squeeze
arrives.
The horse cum out of the horse cock from the outside. Like, I think people got it.
Yeah.
I think they got the visual in their minds.
Well, I don't want them to have the visual of, like, me ejaculating a horse into my hand and just squeezing the cum. Like I was playing with, Nickelodeon Gak or something.
That would be slightly weirder somehow, which is a high bar.
Except now, they do have that imagery in their heads after I have said it.
Yeah,
that's not what I meant.
You did it yourself, really.
Yeah. Which is not something the horse can say. We're done, y'all. Bye.
We are. Bye-bye.
Keep some DC on your screen. Hey, thanks for listening to DC on Screen. Our theme song is by Jason Goss and Michael Shackelford of Galactic Engineers. The incidental music is by Michael Shackelford and Kevin MacLeod. You can rate the show on Spotify or rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Doing that really helps push our show to new listeners, so your help would be much appreciated. You can also contact the show at DC On Screen on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or email us at dconscreen@gmail.com. To become a patron and get ad-free episodes and exclusive content, go to patreon.com/DCOnScreen. Your reviews and feedback may end up on a future episode of DC On Screen. DC On Screen is a production of Maladjusted.tv in association with Stranded Panda. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever damn platform you use.